Clove's POV. Cato and I were hunting when we heard Claudius Templis Mitha's voice boom from above, congratulating the remaining tributes. Cato, who was walking behind me, stops. I know for a fact that Claudius will be inviting us to a feast. Knowing that Cato and I still have a good amount of food and we've been having successful hunts, I don't think we need to go, but then I come with a brilliant idea. Fire Girl will be going for sure. I know she has been hunting now that she has a bow and a quiver of arrows, but she'll do anything to keep her and lover boy alive, so there's a chance she might go. As I try to continue walking, Cato grabs my arm, telling me to listen to what Claudius is going to say. I look at him for a short period of time, then say, I already know it's a feast, so let's go back to camp to get ready. Even though we still have enough food, I'm sure that Fire Girls won't want to miss out. He considers this, then says, I know, but wait and listen. Then he puts a finger to his mouth, signaling for me to be quiet. I obey and listen. Claudius is saying something very confusing. He's not inviting us to a feast, but instead tells us there's been a rule change in the games. A rule change. This rule states that 2 tributes from the same district can be crowned victor. A smile creeps up on my face, and I can tell even in this low light that a smile has formed on Cato's face too. We look at each other, and before I know it, we're hugging each other so tight I think we're crushing each other's ribs. When I finally pull back, I look into Cato's big blue eyes, and knowing that both of us will be able to go home together, I lean in and give him a passionate kiss on the lips. He returns the kiss and deepens it by pulling me closer. I pull back to catch my breath, and as I look at his face, a tear rolls down my cheek. I hope Cato doesn't see it, but of course he does. What's wrong, Clover? I smile at this because that's the nickname he gave me when we first met at the training center back in District 2. Every time I'd hit the ballsy, Cato would say, good job, Clover, but there's some room for improvement in there. Then he'd give me that trademark smirk of his. I remember when I would look back at him and say, so you think you're that good with a sword, and we'd just both laugh. Clove. Let's go back to camp now, tomorrow we'll hunt again. Cato snaps me back to reality and I nod. At the camp. When Cato and I finally arrive at our camp, I insist that I take the first watch, but Cato refuses and says that he'll take first watch instead. Are you sure? I ask. Yeah, it's alright, I'm not that tired anyway, and I know you doze off a few times on your watch, he says, smirking. I laugh because it's true. Fine, good night, I say, and give him a quick kiss. When I step into our tent, I place 4 knives under my pillow and hold on to one. I go to sleep having a wonderful dream of torturing Fire Girl, and Cato and I winning the games. Clove, wake up. My eyes shoot open at the sound of Cato's voice. What? I asked, slightly irritated that he woke me up from my peaceful sleep. It's your turn to keep watch. I nod my head and get out of the tent to make my way out to the fire we started. I sit down lazily on the ground and look for something to do before I doze off on my watch again, which I know will only annoy Cato. I grab my favorite knife from my belt and start to sharpen it, when a memory starts to play in my head. Flashback. I enter the training center for the first time. I hear it's an awesome place to be at, and that District 2 has the biggest training center out of all the career districts. I'm so excited to try out all the weapons, but one station catches my eye, the knife throwing station. I walk over until a sound causes me to turn my head into its direction. I turn and see a tall boy with blonde hair, and I have to admit that he's really handsome. I shake my head. The training center is only for training, Clove, not for boys. I tell myself. I walk over to the knife-throwing station. I pick up a small dagger, position my legs and my hand that holds the knife, then throw. Ballsy. Dead center. I smirk at the sight of the small knife sticking onto the center of the small red dot. Not bad for a beginner. My head snaps into the direction of the voice that just complimented my successful throw. It's the good-looking blonde boy that I saw earlier. He smirks at me, but I roll my eyes. Don't underestimate me, I say as I walk over to the target to retrieve the knife. Oh, well, I wasn't planning to, he says. I look at him and see the smirk on his face. I'm Cato, he says. Clove, I say back quickly. Well, Clove, how about we make a deal? I scowl at him. What do you want? I say harshly. Slow down there, feisty one. I was just going to ask if you could teach me how to throw knives, and I'll teach you how to use a sword, he says slowly. Didn't you see me walk in here? I'm new, it's my first year. So you think that throw was just beginner's luck? Kato asks. I don't want to think that way, because when that knife left my hands, it's like I was a natural. But I need to be true to myself, so I just nod my head. So let's try and test that theory, he says while walking over to the shelf full of knives. I see him pick up a small knife similar to the one I just threw. He walks over to me, and gives it to me. I take it, position myself again, and throw. Dead center. I smirk, and when I turn to look at Kato I see him smirking as well. I don't think it's beginner's luck, he says. End of flashback. I smile as I remember my first experience with a knife and my first encounter with Kato. I wonder if he ever thinks about that too, but I dismiss this thought because it was a really long time ago. It was my first year training and it was his second year, so the memory must have drifted away. When I'm done sharpening my knife I feel the tip, and it's 10 times sharper as it was before. I think of using the big willow tree near the fire for target practice to get some practice in and to keep myself awake. I decide to sit down and throw my knives from where I'm at, so I take out 4 more knives out of my vest and set them down near my leg. I pick up the knife, and throw it. It sticks onto the center of the bark. I smirk and throw the second knife and it sticks next to the first one. I throw the 3 knives that were left on the ground and they land near the 2 knives. I decide not to wake up Kato to take watch because I can tell by the color of the sky that it will be morning in an hour. As I wait for dawn to arrive I decide to cook the canned beef and the dried fruits together and make stew, so when we're done eating we can hunt immediately for that stupid fire girl and her injured boyfriend. I'm so glad Kato sliced one of his weak little legs because I'm sure it's slowing Fire Girl down. When the stew's finished cooking I wake Kato up and get 2 bowls out of the big backpack Marvel found at the cornucopia. As I'm putting some stew for Kato, he walks out of the tent with a tired look in his eyes. Hello there fellow camper, he says. Morning, start eating so we can hunt for District 12, I tell him. He nods and grabs his bowl of stew. It takes us 30 minutes to finish our food, drink water, and relax for a while, before we start to get our weapons, a flask of water for each of us, and 2 packs of dried beef. We head out looking for tributes and animals that will make a good meal until we see a tall figure in the distance. The boy from District 11. I look at Kato and he nods his head signaling that we approach him quietly, because who knows if he'll attack or run. We walk up quietly and hide behind a tree that's 5 feet away from the huge tribute. Kato and I decide that it'd be better to kill the boy now. Fresh, I think is his name. We both knew from the beginning that he'll be competition and I'm glad we're going to kill him because he made us careers look stupid when he rejected our offer to join the alliance. Kato walks from tree to tree to get near Fresh. When he gets close enough I know Kato will strike, and I will help him kill. Kato sneaks up behind him, takes his position, and is about to swing his sword, but Fresh turns around at the last minute and ducks. Kato manages to make a gash on Fresh's shoulder, but Fresh takes his sickle sword out, and I know Kato's in trouble because Fresh's sword looks more deadly. I jump out of my hiding spot and run over to where the battle was taking place. Fresh doesn't see, so I decide to take advantage of this. I kick the sword out of his hands and stand in between it and him. He lunges at me but I dodge it and punch him in the face. This angers Fresh, but he doesn't do anything because Kato gets him into a headlock. I stand in front of him. You think you're a strong big boy, huh? As I take a knife out of my belt I felt a big force knock me down. I thought the game makers had sent a mark down to stir the fun, but as I get up, I see Fresh running away. I'll kill you at the feast, little girl. Fresh yells. I see Kato on the ground and help him up. He kicked you down. I got furious, and for a moment I forgot that I was holding him and I was about to help you, but he pushed me down and ran as fast as he could, he explains. It's okay, we'll get him later. I brush myself off and put my knife that fell on the ground when Fresh kicked me back onto my belt. I walk over to Kato and link my fingers through his as we walk back to camp hand in hand. On our way back to the camp I suggest that we at least try to look for food and Kato agrees. We walk quietly through the forest, keeping our eyes and ears open for any sounds of an animal moving around. I hear something rustle on the ground and instantly, my knife goes in that direction. I hear a cry and predict that it was some type of bird that I killed. When we walked up to it, I was right, it was a bird the size of a basketball, so big and plump. My mouth waters at the image of a crispy bird dish. Don't let me do all the hunting, I tease Kato. He laughs. I promise I'll catch something, he says while poking my stomach. I smile and roll my eyes and smack his hand. I managed to catch a rabbit and another medium-sized bird, and Kato also catches 2 rabbits. We find a bush full of berries and decide to pick it until I'm about to pop it into my mouth and I smell it. Suspicious, I use my nails to break it in half. When I do, I see that the juice is blood red. I then remember the edible and poison berries station back at District 2 and how they taught us to remember the color of the berries' insides, because that's what determines if it's edible or poisonous. Then it all comes back to me. These are nightlock. I throw the berry away and look over at Kato to find the berry 5 inches away from his mouth. I smack the nightlock out of his hand. Those are nightlock, don't eat them, I tell him. What color was the juice, he asks curiously. Blood red, I say. He knows that it's nightlock immediately because he was there with me when the trainers were explaining which berries are safe to eat, and which ones were deadly. Let's just go back to camp since we already found enough food, Kato says. Agreed, I reply. We walk back to camp and skin and pluck the animals we killed. I go into the tent to get the bag full of cooking utensils and come back out to find Kato restarting the fire. We put it out before we went hunting. I grab a knife with a blade good for sawing through things. I cut the big fat bird into chunks and fry them. Kato and I thought we should just cook one animal and save the rest for later. When I'm done frying the bird, I couldn't wait any longer to dig my teeth into the crispy bird meat. Kato couldn't wait either because I see him put his hands into the pan to grab a meaty chunk of the kill I made. I think I'm the better hunter, I say, smirking at Kato. Oh whatever, Clover, you're just lucky your knives can fly 20 feet away, my sword can't even fly 10 feet away. We both laugh loudly at this because it's true. Kato's weapon is the hardest to use for hunting. The weapons that would make hunting easier are throwing knives, a slingshot, blowgun, and a bow and arrows. Thinking of bow and arrows makes me think of 2 people. Glimmer and Fire Girl. To be honest, I was fond of Glimmer at first, but when I heard her flirting with Kato, I wanted to pin her down, carve a list of words that I wouldn't dare say with my knives on her face. Flashback. We were under the tree where Fire Girl was in. I didn't agree with the idea of camping under her because it gave her an advantage. I knew she didn't have any weapons except for the knife I threw at her. But she could do anything to us. She could send a 50-pound branch down on us or anything. I couldn't sleep that night, so I decided to take first watch. I was on guard for 3 hours because that's how energized I was. You should really rest. I turn around to see Glimmer sitting up. It's okay, I'm not really tired, I said back. Okay, just wake me up when you want me to take watch, I nod and mumble an alright. I then went back to keeping watch until 2 hours passed and my back was hurting, so I decided to wake up Glimmer. An hour passed when it was Glimmer's turn to keep watch and I still wasn't asleep. The pain in my back lessened, but my body was still wide awake and my eyes were open. I don't think Glimmer saw that I was awake because it was dark, but I was. Kato, get up, I hear Glimmer say to Kato. My eyebrows knit together as I hear her wake Kato up. 1,000 questions entered my mind. Will she convince Kato to run away from us? Will she convince Kato to help her kill us? These questions were racing until I was proven wrong when she asked, "Can you stay awake with me?" I feel scared. I roll my eyes at this because I know she isn't scared. She likes Kato. Kato was suspicious at first, but agreed. You know we can run away from them. We would do so much better without them, especially your little district partner. I growl at this, but pretend to act as if I'm asleep. Kato looks at her as if she was an alien, then says, "I don't want to, you can run away yourself." I smile at this because I feel Glimmer feeling offended. She was leaning against the tree that Fire Girl was sleeping in when she asked, "You don't love her really, right?" I mean, what could Clove have that I don't? You're right, you two are the opposite, and besides she's beautiful, funny, brave, and strong. You're pretty too, but too stuck up and untalented. Kato snaps back. You know, Clove isn't worthy of surviving out here like the rest of us are. She barely says the last word when my knife lands on the tree centimeters away from her ear. I smirk at the sight of the terrified, confused blonde girl from District 1, and Kato smirking back at me. You know, I think I am worthy of surviving, but let's see if you are. With that I pounced on her and start punching her in the face, while she tries to claw at mine. I was about to take a knife out from my belt until I feel familiar strength lift me off Glimmer. Let me go. I'm going to kill her, I say, squirming out of Kato's grip. He takes me away from the camp. Calm down, okay? Just let her live for now, she'll win us some sponsors. He did make a good point there, although we have been receiving a few parachutes, it doesn't hurt to receive more. Fine, I say as Kato drapes his arm around my shoulder as we walk back to camp. When we arrive, everyone was still sleeping, except for Glimmer, who pretending to be cleaning her arrows. Ha! Is she trying to send a message to me saying don't mess with me because I'm pretty and I win over all the sponsors? Yeah right, I can throw 20 times faster and better than she can shoot and arrow. I mean, she missed the archery target at the training center back at the capital, for God's sake. I lay down next to Kato as he wraps his arms around my waist and we fall into a deep sleep. End of flashback. I snap out of the memory replaying in my head and look at Kato. He's eating his second serving of the fried bird. I laugh at him. What, he says innocently, you're really hungry, huh? I answer him. He smiles and nods happily. I'm satisfied with the food and how the hollow feeling in my stomach has vanished. I wash my hands with the water in my flask, which is still pretty full. I drink some water and go inside our tent, planning on falling asleep. It wasn't long until Kato came in too, sitting next to me. So, have you noticed we never got to actually sit down and talk? I tell him, well, now we are, he says while scooting more closer to me. I smile at him and gave him a kiss on the lips. As I pull back, we look into each other smiling. We're about to lay down when a loud sound of trumpets bursts through the air. It's an announcement. Claudius is inviting us to a feast and that it'll be tomorrow. He says there will be something that we desperately need there. I knit my eyebrows together. What could Kato and I possibly need? What could we so desperately need? Kato and I exchange confused looks. What do you think will be at the feast that we desperately need? I finally ask him. I don't know, we have weapons and food, he says. I begin to think of the possibilities. There could be nightlock juice, that we could probably set out in the open and trick a stupid dehydrated tribute to drink. Or it could be some kind of armor. Armor. That's it. It has to be armor. The game makers know that Fire Girl and Loverboy are our competition right now. The armor is probably made to protect us from Fire Girl's arrows. Kato. I know what will be at the feast. I say, scaring him with my sudden outburst. What? Armor that will protect us from Fire Girl's arrows? Yeah, that's a big possibility, he says. I lay down smirking as I imagine the look on Fire Girl's face when her stupid arrow bounces off my armor. Tomorrow is going to be interesting, I think to myself as I close my eyes. I wake up with a smirk on my face. Today's the day of the feast, so Kato and I should eat and drink a lot to restore some energy. I think we should just get some practice in with our weapons and some sparring. I get up out of my sleeping bag and make my way out of the tent to go and heat up what we have left of the fried, crispy chicken from yesterday. I was in the middle of heating up our food when Kato comes out of the tent, and he too looks excited and determined. You ready for today? He asks, locking his gaze with me. Of course, ready as I'll ever be, I say, not breaking the eye contact. So what's the plan? Kato asks. Let's just stick the one we had before we came into the arena, I say. Which is what again? You stay back and look for any hiding tributes. So your job is to basically scout for tributes and my job is to get the backpack, I say. Got it. Hey, do you think we're going to run into the redhead from 5? Kato asks curiously. I shrug, giving my full attention the bird on the pan now because I don't want it to burn. So if you run into Fire Girl, promise me something, Kato says, determined. What? I ask surprisingly because I remember at the training center in the capital Kato, Marvel, Glimmer, and I were fighting on who gets to kill Fire Girl, but now that it's just me and Kato, he thinks it'd be better if I killed her. If I let you have her, you give the audience a good show, he says. I smirk at this because I know exactly what it means. I'm going to torture her and give her a slow, painful death. I promise, I say sincerely. The fried bird is hot and still pretty crispy, so I tell Kato to eat and drink as much as he can so we'd have plenty of energy for the feast, because who knows what the game makers are going to do. I remember one year, I think the year Inoberia won the games, The game makers created these freaky-looking raccoons the size of an alligator that ate humans. They made the cannibal raccoons hide out near the cornucopia where the feast was being held. This made it harder for the tributes to run in and grab some food because whenever a tribute would run near the cornucopia, the cannibal raccoons would chase them and attack. I remember when the boy from District 6 tried to fight them off with his little knife, the mutt bit off his fingers. I think Inoberia managed to get something because a sponsor had sent her a 5-foot spear that made it easy to kill the mutts in the distance. She even had a whip, so she got most of the food at the feast. When I finished eating, I take a knife out 2 by 2 from my belt, and throw them at the same tree I practice on when it was my turn to take watch the other night. As always, it sticks onto the center of the bark along with the other knives. I smirk as I remember throwing a knife at a lizard that was on the ground the night we camped out under Fire Joel's tree. Glimmer screamed so loud, not because of me killing the lizard, but the fact that there's a dead lizard next to her backpack. I turn to see Kato practicing with his sword, swinging and stabbing the air with the sharp tip of his weapon. I jog over to him. "Let's practice some sparring," I say. He laughs at me. I smack him in the arm. "What, you scared I'm going to beat you?" I say with a cocky tone. He knits his eyebrows at me. "You, beat me?" he asks, challenging me. "Yes, Kato, now stop talking and start practicing." "Fine," he says, and takes the position that the trainers back in 2 taught us how to do in hand-to-hand combat. We walk in a circle, not breaking the intense eye contact. He lunges at me, but I move to the left and kick the back of his legs. He falls and I jump on his back. I'm about to dig my nails into his nape, when he throws me off. I land on my back. He gets on top of me. "Surrender?" he asked. "Never," I say, smirking. "You made a bad decision," he says, as if trying to make sound like a threat. "And why is that?" I say. "Because I'm going to do this," and with that he tickles my sides and I can't help but burst into a fit of laughter. He knows I'm super ticklish and he knows where my tickle spot is. "Stop tickling me," I say in between laughs. "Surrender yet?" he asks again. I don't surrender, but instead give him a kiss full of passion. He stops tickling me and holds my waist. Perfect, this is what I was planning. I see my chance as I pull him down closer to me and flip him, so now I'm on top of him. I pull back from the kiss. "Smart girl," Kato says with a sexy smirk. I get up and put my boot on his chest, adding a little pressure so he doesn't do anything. "Do you surrender?" I ask him. He nods. I extend my hand and he takes it. I pull back, helping him get up. "Drink a lot of water, because I want to head out soon," he says, walking over to his flask that he put on the ground. "Okay," I say, drinking from my own flask. We head into the direction of the cornucopia, excited than ever. Kato looks at me and asks, "Remember the plan?" he asks. I nod my head. "Get the bag, and if I run into Fire Joel, give the audience a good show," I say as I'm a child reciting something for her teacher. "Do you remember what to do?" I ask him. "Of course," he says seriously. "Well, I'll see you later with the armor," I say, smirking. As I'm about to jog into the field of the cornucopia, Kato pulls my arm gently, and before I could say something he plants a passionate kiss on my lips. Our lips linger as I tug onto his blonde hair. We pull back to catch a breath. "You're going to make me waste my energy," I say, teasing him. He laughs. "See you later." I nod and wave before I run off, but a moving figure catches my eye. The girl from 5. She was hiding in the cornucopia the whole time. Why didn't Kato and I think of that? I don't bother to see what Kato's reaction to this because I run off to the table where our backpack is. I run up from the right side of the huge silver horn when a tribute runs in my direction. "Fire Joel." I smirk, seeing her run with a small orange pack on her wrist. I throw the first knife, but she deflects it with her bow. Then I throw the second knife and it hits her right above the eyebrow. I smirk at the sight of the blood running down her face. She falls back and lands hard on the ground. When she gets up, she kneels and quickly loads her bow. She shoots it at me. I turn sideways to prevent the arrow from hitting my chest and it doesn't. It hits my left arm. Good thing I don't throw with my left. Furious, I yank the arrow out and throw it to the side. She sees what I've done and shoots a second arrow which misses me. Before she has time to pull out a third arrow, I knock into her, tackling her to the ground. We roll over multiple times, until we finally stop with me on top. She may be taller than me, but I'm stronger and well trained. I pin her down with my knees and use my left leg to hold her left hand down. I pull out a knife with a medium-sized, slightly curved blade. I plan on making a cut on her windpipe, and start on my torture session. However, Fire Girl's being a bit difficult. She's using all the little strength she has with her right hand to keep the blade from penetrating her skin. When the blade is barely an inch near her neck, she pushes my face back. I growl angrily. I want to stab her ear, but when I bring the knife down, she moves her head, with the blade missing her ear by a centimeter. Finally, I control her by pressing the blade to her throat. I didn't stab her though. Where's Loverboy? Oh, I see, you were gonna help him, right? I say, taunting her. Well, that's sweet. You know, it's too bad you couldn't help your little friend. That little girl, what was her name again? Rue. Yeah, well, we killed her and now, we're going to kill you. She gets angry when I mention her ally's name. I take a small knife out from my belt, which has a pointy tip. I glide it across her cheek, teasing her. Now, where to start? I say as I use my jacket to wipe the blood off her face. I tilt her face from side to side, deciding where to cut first. I think. I say, drifting off as I focus on her stupid features. I think we'll start with your mouth, I say. Yes, I don't think you'll have much use for your lips anymore. Want to blow Loverboy one last kiss? I say, tormenting her. She spits in my face. Stupid bitch, but I cool down, remembering that I'm the one who's going to torture her. As I'm about to cut her lips, something yanks me off my prey. It can't be Kato, because the strength that is being used to pull me off Fire Girl is harsh. As I'm lifted off the ground, I see Thresh's angry face. Did you kill her? He yells. What? No, my words stumble because Thresh's angry voice is loud. I heard you. You said her name. You kill her. At first, I don't know who he's talking about, then a name pops into my head. Rue. Does he really care about her? I mean, she was his district partner, and she was only 12 years old, but they didn't look as if they close like how Kato and I are. Here I am, being held against the wall of the cornucopia, trying to deny to the accusation of me killing the girl from District 11. But her district partner believes I'm bluffing, and his main goal right now is to spill my blood. No. I swear. I never got to finish my sentence as he slams me into the wall of the cornucopia. I lose it and yell, Kato. Kato. Clove. I hear Kato's voice in the distance and know immediately that he won't arrive on time to help me, or better yet save me. Your district partner can't help you now, little girl, Thresh says evilly. He thinks he can taunt me the way I taunted Katniss, but he's wrong. I won't let his words get to my head, which feels pretty dizzy now. My head is spinning in circles and I can't keep up with what Thresh is saying. You think you're a small, tough girl, huh? He says, smiling. I growl at him and this widens his smile. Go ahead and kill me, I say, as if what I said isn't a big deal. Oh, I will. I think I'll do it the career way, he says. I know what he's trying to tell me. He's saying that he's going to torture me like how all careers are taught to do. He wants to avenge Rue even though I'm not the one who killed her. I decide that if I'm going to die from the hands of a boy from an outlying district, might as well have a little fun before I go. Don't you ever think that you may be the reason that little Rue died? I say. Shut up, he snaps. You're bigger than Kato, you have what it takes to survive in this arena just like the careers. If you didn't want to join our alliance, why didn't you make one with Rue? I mean, you could have protected her. If she was with you, she would have never died, but because you decided to be selfish and go all on your own, Rue is dead, I say, smirking at him. As I'm waiting for Thresh's reaction, I see something from the corner of my eye. Fire Girl trying to crawl away quietly. What the hell? I don't want her to watch me die. Why isn't she running back to Peter? Don't say that. She didn't die because of me. Thresh screams louder than ever. I grin. This is what I wanted. Yes, she did, idiot. If you had made her your ally, you could have watched over her. Your foolishness and greed led Rue to her death, I say. His next reaction was something I didn't expect. He slams me into the wall of the cornucopia again and throws me on the ground. I didn't even recover from the first time he slammed me into the wall, and I think I won't recover easily from the second one. When Thresh threw me on the ground I had a hard landing even though the ground was covered with grass. I see him walk over to something and pick it up. Maybe he thinks if he leaves me here I'm going to die. I'm proven wrong, very wrong in fact, because he walks back over to me with a rock the size of a loaf of bread. I am not going to die by the hands of the District 11 boy, and by a rock. Please, don't. I beg. Too late for that little career girl, he says. He drops the rock. But I roll over to the right and the rock lands on the spot that I was just laying on a minute ago. I grin at the sight of Thresh's confused face. I'm not going down without a fight. Or better yet, I'm not going down at all, I say with a confident tone. My smirk widens at the sight of Fire Girl with her mouth open staring at me in awe. She scrambles on all fours. I'm not going to kill her, just not yet, because Thresh is my main target. Bring it on, Thresh says, recovering from that fact that he didn't kill me. I pull out a knife and walk to left. Thresh walks to the right and we stare at each other while walking in a circular motion waiting for the first move. Of course Thresh lunges at me, but I move to the side quickly. He takes his deadly looking sickle sword that I forgot he had the whole time out from its sheath. He swings at me but I duck. He tries to stab me in the stomach but I jump back a good 3 feet. I run over to where my knife that I was about to use to torture Fire Girl was at because it's the longest knife I had. Thresh chases me, but I outrun him and pick up the knife. Now we're even, I say. My little knife and his huge sword clash together, and I use this moment to kick him in the stomach. He lets out a groan and hold on to his abdomen. I get behind him and stab him in the back. He didn't die because I stabbed him in the spot that caused paralysis, so he won't move. So you think you're a big, strong boy, huh? I ask. He tries to say something, but I don't really understand. I use my knife to carve District 11 on his big arms. I then carved weak deep on his forehead, but no deep enough to penetrate the brain. I cut up his lips and laugh as I lean back and see that it looks like a stripe pattern. Thresh lets a growl. I laugh at him. I know you enjoy this, but I'm not done yet. I carve more things on his face until there's no more space left. I make a cut right above his eyelids and blood spills out. You can't even recognize Thresh, and that's what I was planning on. Thresh, the whole time who has been groaning, is now quiet. Just remember, you're the reason why Rue died, I whisper in his ear, and before he could growl at me, I stab him in the neck. I get up from Thresh's body when I see someone running. Fire Girl. Damn it. I forgot all about her and now she's getting away. I'm going to kill you when I see you, Fire Girl. I yell my loudest, and with that she disappears into the forest. I'm about to walk back to camp when I remember something. Our backpack. I must have forgotten about it with all the commotion going on. I turn back to the cornucopia and grab the 2 huge backpacks with my district number printed on it. I set the bags down first to check if all my knives are in my belt and in my vest. I have about 40 knives on me, and in my opinion, it's not enough. After I count my knives the second time to make sure, I pick the bags up and run as fast I can, not because I'm scared but because I'm worried about Kato. When I called his name he answered back, but he never came. I don't think he's dead because Loverboy's injured, so there's no way he can take on Kato. And the redhead from 5 seems harmless. I mean, I don't even think that she killed anyone. As soon as I step into the forest I run faster. Then I bump into something, or someone. I fall on my back and in no time I'm on my feet with a knife in my hand ready to kill. Instead of bleeding Fire Girl, badly injured Loverboy, or the mysterious redhead, I see Kato smirking at me. Going to kill me. I thought 2 people can live if they are from the same district, he says teasingly. I smirk right back at him. I thought you were someone else, I said. Kato's smirking face turns blank. Are you hurt? I'm sorry I didn't come for you. Why did you scream? He asks seriously. To be honest, I'm a little pissed off at him not showing up to help me at the feast. Where were you? And I just screamed your name to tell you I was having a great time fighting with Thresh, I say sarcastically, but I can tell this hurts Kato. I'm really, really sorry, Clove. I saw the girl from 5 running, so I chased after her. I chased her really deep into the forest. It was like a part of the forest that we've never been to before. From that part of the forest, I could barely hear you scream, but I ran for dear life hoping I would make it on time. I was close, but I saw Fire Girl in the distance. She saw me too and shot an arrow but missed. I knew I couldn't take her on from afar, so I ran this way, and when I was about to reach the field of the cornucopia, I bumped into you and here I am, he explains. After he tells me this, I know in my heart that he tried his best to come, but was too late. If I hadn't rolled over and the rock had landed on me, I wouldn't be here with Kato now. I reach up and put my hand on his cheek. It's okay, I'm not hurt, I say sweetly. I'm really sorry and I'm glad you're okay, he says. I take my hand from his face and pick up the bags I got from the feast. It suddenly feels light, but then I look around and see that contents of the bag flew out. I look at the object that flew out of the bag, then at Kato. He has an evil smirk on his and I know why. We'll be invincible with this armor. I walk over to the armor and take a good look at it. The armor looks like some kind flesh-colored mesh. It looks like it covers the neck all the way down to the ankle. I guess I should try it on and see. I'm about to put it on, when Kato says let's put it on at the camp. I agree and put the armor back in the bag and follow Kato. We're near our camp when hear something beeping. I take out a knife from my vest in a split second and see Kato has his weapon out as well. I lower my weapon when I see that it's just a parachute floating through the air, making its way over to us. Kato smiles at me. When we approach the parachute, I don't know what to expect. We have body armor, plenty of food, a fair amount of water, and weapons. This isn't the first time we received a gift from a sponsor. I remember when the fire started and all of us ran into the direction of the pond, and ended up with bad burns. Kato had a red blistering burn across his shoulder, Glimmer got burned on her stomach, Marvel got burned on his shin, I got burned on my left arm, and I think Loverboy got burned on his chest area. We stopped for a break because Glimmer kept complaining and all of a sudden, a parachute appears. Of course we had a lot of sponsors because they love the whole vicious killing machine career thing. Marvel opened it and showed us that it was a container of burn bum. Everyone applied some on their burns except Loverboy, who said it was okay, and within 2 days the burn disappeared. Kato opens the parachute. I walk closer to it and ask what is it. Kato smiles. It looks like we have a feast, Clover, he says. I look inside and see that he's right. Inside the parachute there's roasted chicken topped with some red sauce and peas on the side. I also see some familiar looking bread. I look closer and see that it's our district signature bread. I smile at the golden brown crescent-shaped bread that's filled with goat cheese and a light blaze of this fruit called cranberry when you bite into it. I bet this is Inoberia and Brutus's way on congratulating us, or me on killing Thresh at the feast. Your mouth is getting a little watery there, Clover, Kato says. I giggle and smack his arm playfully. Our district bread is in there, I say. Kato knows I love that bread, so when I look at him he grins. Back home he would usually surprise me with that bread. On his way to the training center whenever he had time, he would stop by the bakery and buy a dozen of it, then surprise me when he arrived. Remember when I would buy that for you and bring it to the training center, he asks, like he was reading my thoughts. How could I forget? He smiles and takes out 2 pieces of our district bread and hands one to me. Let's just eat and walk to camp, so we can put on the armor, Kato says. I nod and we make our way back to camp with the bag of armor, the parachute, Kato suggests we bring, so it'd be easy to carry the food in it, and the delicious, crescent-shaped, golden brown bread that reminds us of home. When we arrive at the camp, we set everything down except for the bag containing the armor. Kato looks at both of it because he thinks the sizes are different. He tosses me the one that looks small and starts to put his armor on. When he has it on, it looks as if it was skin tight. Do you think it's really strong? I ask. Hell yeah, this is from the capital, now there's no way Fire Girl's arrows can hurt us, he says. How about my knives? I ask, smirking at him. He laughs and tells me to put mine on. It looks like the one Kato has on, but a smaller size. It feels tight, and a little heavy. I twirl around the same way Fire Girl did when she showed everyone her dress during her interview with Caesar. I run around a little to get used to it, and eventually I do. Kato starts taking the food out of the parachute. I take our flasks and an extra canteen and go up to the stream to fill it up. It doesn't take long to fill everything with water, so I go back to camp in less than 30 minutes. When I get back to camp, I help myself to the roasted chicken that Kato divided. I lick the plate clean in no time and drink a lot of water. Kato finishes before me, so he's just putting his plate away, then he takes my hand and leads me into the tent. We talk, and yes, kiss, tell jokes, and laugh for half an hour until we finally fall asleep with our invincible armor on. I wake up to find that Kato isn't next to me. I look around the tent, then go outside. I see Kato roasting a rabbit. He doesn't see me, so I decide to surprise him. He has his eyes glued to animal on the pan when a knife buries itself in the log next to him. His eyes snap up and I couldn't help but let out a big laugh. Very funny, Clover. That was a nice way to say good morning, he says sarcastically. Oh, were you scared? I ask, grinning at him. No, I'm not stupid. I knew it was you. Who else is an expert at throwing knives, he says, smiling. Now that he just called me an expert knife thrower, I stop teasing him. Well, good morning, I say to him as I kiss his cheek. So you throw a knife that lands next to me and only kiss me on my cheek? Kato says, smirking. Fine, since your reaction was priceless, I reply as I give a kiss on the lips like he wanted. You know, you never got to tell me what happened at the feast, Kato says as he snaps his head up to look at me. He's right, I never had time to tell him about how I almost got Fire Girl and the battle with Thresh. I look up from the ground and see Kato looking at me expectantly. I was about to get the bag when I saw Fire Girl. The first knife I threw, she deflected with her bow, then she shot me in my left arm, but I pulled the arrow out. The second knife I threw hit her right above the eyebrow and blood gushed down her face. I say with a malicious grin. Kato's hand goes to my left arm right away. He folds the jacket up, then stops when he sees the wound caused by Fire Girl's arrow. I wince a little, but he holds my arm steady, then tells me to hold the sleeve so he could go get the first aid kit. When he comes out, he dabs my wound with this type of antibacterial pad, then gets out some gauge and wraps my arm, making sure that it stays. When he's done, he leans back to look at his work. He smiles proudly and I giggle. Thank you. You're welcome. Now back to your story, he says. I give him a questioning look because I thought I told him everything, but then I remember I left something out. Thresh. He gives me that expectant look, so I go on. After the knife hit Fire Girl, I tackled her. I was planning on torturing her, but before I did I wanted to taunt her about Loverboy and the girl from 11, her ally. I was about to start the torturing, until Thresh came out of nowhere yelling at me about what I said about his district partner. He held me against the wall of the cornucopia asking me if I killed Rue. I kept denying it, but he wouldn't believe me, so he slammed against the wall twice, then threw me on the ground. He planned on dropping a big rock on my head, but I rolled over on time. I stood up and we fought until finally, I killed him. I look at Kato and see that his expression is apologetic. I bet he thinks it's his fault that I almost died, but it wasn't. It's not your fault, Kato. If I hadn't said anything about his district partner, he would have never tried to kill me. I know this is true, but the part about Thresh not killing me if I hadn't said anything about Rue wasn't. I know Thresh would have killed me anyway because of what happened when Kato and I were hunting the other day, and he did say he would kill me at the feast. But if I had arrived on time, he wouldn't have slammed you against the wall, Kato says. He's right, but I still don't think it's his fault. Enough of that talk. Why don't you follow me, fill up our flasks and the canteen at the stream? I ask to help get both our minds of what happened at the feast. He nods and gets his sword and some purification tablets, for the water. I literally drag my feet on the way to the stream because it's so hot. I couldn't wait to fill my mouth with the fresh, cool water. When we finally reach our destination, we notice something. The stream is dried out. I look at Kato and he looks confused as well. I know the game makers did this so we could go to the lake and possibly run into Fire Girl and Loverboy and have a big battle. I don't mind going to the lake because if Fire Girl and her boyfriend are there, I will have no problem using my knives. We reach the lake and fill up our flasks. When I'm done dropping the purification tablets into the canteen, I scoop a handful of water and splash it on my face. I splash some water on Kato and we end up having a water fight. He pushes me into the water and we wrestle a little. A cannon fires. Kato and I stand up quickly and look at each other. Then I figure out who that cannon belongs to. The girl from 5, says Kato, just as I'm about to say it. I wonder how she died. I remember catching a glance of her at the training center pressing different buttons for some type of test. It was some kind of puzzle and I remember how huge the screen was. She was typing furiously and from what I saw, she got everything correct. I see the hovercraft come and pick up the girl's body, then leave without a trace. A short moment after the cannon fired, I see smoke. I point at it and Kato sees it too. It's Fire Girl and Loverboy's fire. I start to question if they are the ones who killed the girl from 5. Loverboy doesn't look like the type of person who kills, so it was probably Fire Girl. I mean, she has a weapon that's deadly in the distance, just like my knives. Judging by the fire, I can tell that Fire Girl could care less if Kato and I can see it. It's like she's inviting us over to kill her. I would go there, but it seems a little risky. Kato tells me that we should go back to camp, so I get my flask and walk besides him. When we reach our camp we sit down and drink more of our water than just talk. We were talking about how I killed Fresh until we hear something strange. It sounded like something in between a growl or a grunt. Our heads snap around, and before you know it, our weapons are in our hands. What do you think made that sound? I ask Kato. It's more like who, I hear Kato say. He thinks that it's Fire Girl and Loverboy, but it sounded more like an animal than a tribute. No, it's an animal, I say, still poised to fight. We stay like this until a creature jumps out at us. We back up and look at it for a moment until we realize that it's some kind of mark created by the Capitol, until something catches my eye. Those dark brown eyes and big, strong hind legs attached to a huge body. I gasp as I realize something. It's Thresh. I just stare at the huge mark that was once a rival tribute. I can tell the Capitol programmed Thresh's mark to feel a big amount of hatred towards me because it has its eyes glued on me and growls in my direction. I don't think he even glanced at Kato for even a second. His eyes are on me and I am his main target. I'm the girl who killed him and ruined the chances of him bringing pride to his poor district. If it weren't for me, he could have had a chance to return to his family. I'm too shocked to even fling my knife at the beast before my eyes. I stare back at it until I notice there are more mutts behind him ready to attack. Something grabs my arm and I feel the swift motions of my strong, lean legs propelling forward. I'm running. I'm trying my best to escape my death. I look forward and see Kato running in front of me. I turn my head and see that the mutts are still chasing us. Thresh is in the front leading the whole pack. He's running for me. He wants to spill my blood. A thought enters my mind as I think about it. I won't let him and his pack of wild dogs ruin our chances of returning to District 2. Kato and I can do this. We were trained for this our whole lives and I'm not letting that all go to waste by dying at the hands of a mutt. I run faster. I see that Kato has his sword out and is swinging at anything in our way. He's swinging at leaves, vines, and more stuff I can't see. I look up at the sky and see that we're approaching the area that the smoke we saw earlier was made. That means that we're passing through Fire Girl and Loverboy's camp. Kato swings at leaves and it goes down immediately. When it does, I see Loverboy with a knife in his hand and Fire Girl with her bow and arrow in position. She lets the arrow fly in Kato's direction. I'm about to cry out, but before I even have time to let anything escape my lips, I see the arrow bounce off Kato's chest and fly to the side. The armor. I forgot about it the whole time. I smirk at Fire Girl's confused face, and she yells he has some type of armor on, to Loverboy. As I'm running I see Loverboy say something back, but it wasn't loud enough for me to pick up because there's no time now. After a short moment I see Fire Girl running behind us. Where's her little boyfriend? Bet she was selfish enough to leave her own district partner behind just to save her own life. When Kato and I reach the green field of the cornucopia, I urge myself to run faster since we're almost there and also because if we get there first, we'll rest until we have enough energy to kill Fire Girl and Loverboy. We stop in front of the left side of the huge golden horn when Kato shouts, "I'll give you a boost up." It's okay, you get up first. Since you're stronger, it'll be easy to pull me up, I say. Clover, please. Go, it'll haunt me for the rest of my life if you're not safe up there, he says, looking into my eyes pleadingly. I look over at Fire Girl, then Loverboy, then at the angry mutts and climb onto Kato's hand that he extended for me. He pushes me up and once I'm on, I extend my hand for him. He grabs it for a short time then helps himself. When he gets on, we move to the center and rest. He pulls me into a rib-crushing embrace and kisses my forehead. As we're catching our breath, I see Fire Girl get on and she's trying to help Loverboy. Can they climb it? Kato asks. I shake my head. What? Fire Girl yells, looking at Kato. He's not talking to you, stupid girl. He said can they climb it? Loverboy answers for her. Fire Girl's trying to help him up, but I think one of the mutts got his feet. Kill it, Peter. Kill it. She yells. I see Loverboy stabbing the mutt and climb onto the cornucopia. He stands up and stays close to Fire Girl, watching as she sends a mutt with blonde fur down. I hear Fire Girl gasp. What is it, Katniss? Loverboy asks her, grabbing her arm. It's her, she yells. Who? Glimmer, she shrieks. I try and get a glimpse of Glimmer's mutt, but it's too far away. I see this as a chance to catch them both off guard, so we can kill them. I look at Kato. Let's win this, I say. District 2, here we come, he says, grinning. I nod and run over to Fire Girl. I grab her from the back and throw her the ground hard. She was a little heavy but I managed to do it. I see Kato do the same, and when Loverboy lands on the hard metal, I spot the blood trickling down his leg. Fire Girl shoots an arrow at me, but I dodge it on time. I run over to her and try to disarm her. She's on her back pulling the bow, and I'm hovering over her pulling back. I take a knife out from my belt and try and stab her ear. She moves again, which causes me to get furious. I see the quiver full of arrows on her back and cut the strap that connects with her shoulder. I grab the quiver from under her and throw them in the direction of where Kato and Loverboy's battle is taking place. I suddenly feel some pain on my head and look down to see Fire Girl smirking at me. She hit my head with her bow. That bitch. She swings it at me again, but I move and stand up. I back up and she stands up. Her bow is in her hands and I stand in between her and the quiver of arrows that I threw. What are you going to do now, Fire Girl? I guess I'll have to kill you now, she says, her face expressionless. I let out a laugh. You couldn't kill me even if I had one arm. After that being said, I ram into her, knocking her down, just like I did at the feast. I punch her in the face multiple times, but she punches me back. Then I grab her by her braid and make her stand up. I put her in a chokehold, but she elbows me in the guts. I groan and hold my stomach. I look over at Kato and Loverboy and see that Kato has the upper hand, but Loverboy's putting up a fight. I turn around and see that the mutts are trying their very best to get onto the cornucopia and maul us to death. I find Fresh Smut, which was easy to spot since he was the biggest. I use my left hand to clutch my aching abdomen and lift my right hand to throw a knife at him. It hits right in between his eyes. No matter what form you're turned into, just remember that I'll always be the one to kill you. I say as I grin evilly. No doubt the people in 11 are screaming every type of profanity they know at me. My head snaps around looking for Fire Girl. As I turn around, my legs feel like jelly and I fall. Fire Girl looks down at me and smiles. Had enough yet, too, she asks innocently. I growl and try to stand up, but she puts on her boot on my chest. I glare at her and she laughs. Then when she hears someone scream, her head turns around quickly. I take advantage of this moment and twist her feet. She screams, then falls as I get up quickly. I catch a glimpse of Kato and Loverboy and see that Kato made a big cut on Loverboy's other leg. I turn to Fire Girl and place my hand around her neck. I drag her to the edge of the cornucopia and stick her head down the edge so the mutts can get her. The mutts are going crazy trying to reach for her head. Katniss. Noo. Loverboy yells. I turn and see Kato giving me a thumbs up sign. My eyes flick to Loverboy and I see him sitting on the metal clutching his legs and looking at Fire Girl. Kill her. Come on, get her. I scream to the mutts. They went all ballistic as I push Fire Girl's head down more. I hear footsteps behind me and feel myself being pulled backwards. Next thing I know, I'm thrown on the ground. I get up and find Loverboy and Fire Girl holding each other, asking the other if they were okay. Oh, look at the lovebirds, I say, walking closer to them. Fire Girl gets up and runs to her bow and arrow. Before I can run after her, Loverboy holds me back. Even though he has injuries on both feet, he's still trying his best to stand. He restrains my arm and tightens his grip every time I move. My eyes are looking for Kato. I see him lying down on the metal. Loverboy must have stabbed him in his torso, because I see blood flowing from his side. Kato! Kato! I scream, fearing that he might not make it. He doesn't look at me, but it doesn't matter now because Fire Girl's coming my way with her bow loaded. Ready to have a taste of your own medicine? She asks, pointing her arrow at me. Yeah, I don't care. Go on, shoot, I say. I see Fire Girl didn't expect this because her grin disappears. Want to apologize to your district for disappointing them? Fire Girl asks. I try and wiggle out of Loverboy's arms, but his grip gets stronger. Fire Girl is about to let the arrow fly until a sword goes through her lower abdomen. She freezes for a while, then looks down at the sword. She falls and lets go of her weapon. When she's on the ground, I see Kato standing behind her using one hand to hold his torso. Katniss! Loverboy screams as he lets go of me and runs over to his wounded district partner. You evil son of a bitch! He yells at Kato. He holds Fire Girl's hand, then runs over to Kato. He lunges at Kato, but Kato moves to the side and punches him in the face. Kato! I yell. It's okay, Clover, just give the audience a good show, he says as elbows Loverboy in the ribs. I know what I have to do. I'm going to do what I've always wanted before I even came into the arena. Give Fire Girl a slow, painful death. I smirk as I walk over to where she's lying down. She's breathing hard. I bend down and hover over her. I've always been waiting for this moment, I say. I take out the small knife I was going to torture her with at the feast. She grunts and tries to hold my hand, but pull my hand away and stab her in the shoulder. She groans and her hand falls to her side. I think it'll be easier now, because you can't do anything. I whisper in her ear and she growls. I take my knife and penetrate her skin. I trace the outline of her lips, and she tries to turn her head, but I stab her other shoulder. Blood pours from both her shoulders and around her lips. She'll taste her own blood. I decided to be creative and carve a pattern on her face. Since District 2 specializes in stone cutting art, I've seen a lot of beautiful artwork, and now I'll use Fire Girl's face to try and copy them. Before I carve anything, I look over at Kato. He's doing okay for someone who's injured. He has Loverboy in a headlock and whispers something in his ear. I don't know what he whispered, but it made Loverboy mad because he's trying to get out of Kato's grasp. Then Kato snaps his neck and Loverboy falls. I turn back to Fire Girl. I want her to suffer more, so I force her head to turn and look in Loverboy's direction. Look at your dead boyfriend, District 12, I say. Peter, no. Peter, she stammers, her mouth full of blood. Say bye to Loverboy, I say. I look at her and see her eyes filled with tears. I get back to work and carve a pattern on Fire Girl's face. I decided to try and copy the one her stylist stenciled on her arm on the night of the interviews. I carve some wavy lines and add thin lines sticking out of them to represent thorns. I do this to both of her cheeks and she doesn't even bother moving. Now blood is pouring everywhere. When I'm done, I stand back and smile at my work. I feel Kato besides me. Nice job, he says, looking at a bloody Fire Girl. Thank you, I say, and give him a passionate kiss on the lips. He pulls me closer to deepen it. It's as if I'm not in the games anymore. It feels like I'm back in District 2, behind the training center with Kato. We pull back when we hear Fire Girl groan. I walk over to her. I'm about to finish her off when I turn to look at Kato. Now that I think about it, I feel as if Kato and I should both kill her. Our last kill, together. You wanna help me kill her? I ask. He smirks and walks over to Fire Girl, rolls her onto her back and pulls his sword out of her body. I kneel next to her and position my knife above her body. We count to 3 and deliver the death blow. He stabs her in the neck and I stab her in the heart. I look at Kato and throw myself in his arms. He hugs me back and kisses my cheek. Then we hear something else. The Mutts. We were so focused on killing 12 that we forgot about the mutts waiting for us below. As if reading my mind, a huge hole opens on the grass and all the mutts jump in. I thought that all of them are already inside, but the hole in the ground remains open. Then I see the smallest mutt walk over to the hole, and before it jumps inside it turns and looks at me. Roo. She growls at me, then jumps into the hole, disappearing under the earth to return to a lab in the capital. 2 cannons fire. I look at Kato, but actions speak louder than words, so I hug him as tight as I could. Suddenly a question enters my mind. Where are the trumpets? Aren't they going to congratulate us? Kato must be thinking the same thing. I think we need to move so the hovercraft can collect the bodies. I nod and we slide off the metal horn. We go back to our camp and find it completely destroyed. The mutts must have knocked everything down as they were chasing us. I hear a hovercraft in the distance. Kato was right, we had to wait for the hovercraft to collect the bodies. I can imagine the blood dripping from Fire Girl's body as the hovercraft takes her away. I take my armor off and throw it aside. I take my jacket off and wrap it around Kato's waist to put pressure on the wound. A few minutes later the hovercraft retrieves the body of the star-crossed lovers from 12, we hear the trumpets blaring. Kato and I exchange excited glances, then listen to what Claudius has to say. Greetings to the final contestants of the 74th Hunger Games. The earlier revision has been revoked. Closer examination of the rule book has disclosed that only one winner may be allowed. He says good luck and may the odds be ever in your favor, he adds. What? Only one person can win. They expect me to kill Kato. I should have expected this. Although the capital treats District 2 better than the other districts, in the Hunger Games there is only one victor. I look at Kato. He looks at me with hurt in his eyes. He puts his sword in my hands. I just stare at the weapon that he placed in my palm. Do it. They should have a victor, and it should be you, he says. Why does he think that I'll actually kill him? I could never force myself to do anything like that. Even if someone gave me all the money in the world, I will never ever do it. I shake my head. Do it, Clover, he says harshly. I won't, I say, standing my ground. Just do it, he says a little louder. I flinch. Please, Clove, just do it. It'll be best for the both of us. What does he mean, it'll be best for the both of us? How could he think that this will have a good outcome? Does he know that I'll never forgive myself for killing the one person I care about? Clove, just do it. Kato yells this time. I shake my head. He walks over to me and positions the sword in my hand. Then he kisses me. This kiss is full of passion and fear. He pulls away and backs up. Do it, he says. I close my eyes. I won't look at him as he takes his last breath. The audience doesn't deserve that satisfaction. I'm about to swing until I hear Claudius Templesmither's voice over the speakers. Stop. May I present to you victors of the 74th Annual Hunger Games. The tributes from District 2. I wake up in a room with no doors or windows. I survey my surroundings. I'm in a white room and I'm lying down on a hospital bed. I look at myself and see that I'm wearing a blue hospital gown. I'm not wearing my maroon t-shirt and black vest full of knives anymore. Where am I? Where's Kato? My memory is blurry. I don't know how I ended up in here. I search my thoughts for anything that would help me understand what's going on. Flashback. Stop. May I present to you victors of the 74th Annual Hunger Games. The tributes from District 2. I drop the sword and run over to Kato. He hugs me tighter than ever and doesn't stop until we hear a hovercraft in the sky preparing to land. When it does, 2 peacekeepers walk out and escort us inside. We walk in and see people dressed in white and some Vox standing in the corners. A capital doctor grabs my arm and I jump back and take a knife out. A peacekeeper tries to hassle the knife away, but I refuse to cooperate and give it to him. A few other peacekeepers try and take it away, but Kato punches them and prevents them from getting near me. The peacekeepers hold Kato and restrain him from hurting anyone else. I try to pull the peacekeepers away from him, but there are too many of them. I see another doctor approach Kato with a syringe in his hands. He stops in front of Kato and adjusts the needle. I yell at the peacekeepers to let him go, but they don't listen. I yell at the doctor and he says that it's for his own good. Kato tries to fight his way out of the peacekeeper's arms but doesn't succeed. I see the doctor inject something into Kato's shoulder and he falls to the ground unconscious. I scream and try to get to him, but I feel a needle in my arm and I knock out as well. End of flashback. I feel my stomach growl. I'm starving. I look around to see if there are any machines like the ones in the capital that make steamy, delicious food in less than a minute at the push of a button. There's nothing. The only thing in my room is the bed, and a drawer. I get out of my bed and feel the cold floor on my feet. I walk over to the drawer and open it. There are 3 small knives. I smirk at this. There's clothes folded neatly in the drawer too. I unfold it and see that it's the same thing I wore to training. Once I get into the suit I noticed that there are some type of secret pockets on the sides. I can see it, but to others it's invisible. I slip the knives into the pocket and walk around the room trying to figure out how to get out of here. The wall slides open and I step back quickly. I slip out a knife and get into position. An Avox with dark brown hair gasps, even though she doesn't have a tongue. Anyone within a 5-mile radius could have heard her. I put the knife back into my pocket and apologize. She hands me a tray that holds a bowl of soup, 2 slices of fine capital bread and 3 cookies with a glass of water on the side. This is it. Being the victor, shouldn't I have a bigger and better meal? I realize that being in the arena will make your stomach smaller from lack of food. When your stomach's small, you don't need to eat as much, but that's not the case with me because I had enough to eat in the arena. Thanks to hunting and the supplies of food from the cornucopia, I was always satisfied. I sit on the hospital bed and eat everything on the tray, and wash it down with water. The Avox that delivered the food stands in the corner. I guess she'll help me, so I ask her if Kato's okay. She nods. I ask her if I could go outside and see him and she takes out a small notepad. She writes something on it then shows it to me. My name is Havani. I am your Avox. I will be helping you with everything you need. Your district partner is fine, but I was told not to make you see him yet, but there are other people that want to see you. Please follow me and I'll lead you to them. I nod and follow her. She leads me down a grey hall filled with a lot of doors. At the end of the hall I see Inoberia, Brutus, Liam, Andy, Lenit, and my prep team. Although most of them were a pain in the butt during my entire stay in the capital, I'm so happy to see them. I jump into Inoberia's arms and she says good job, little girl, then everyone else joins in and we have a group hug. I pull back, happy that they're all with me. Where's Kato? I ask. He's fine, still asleep, Brutus answers. When can I see him? I ask. You can't see him until the interview, says Liam. After the games, the victor has an interview with Caesar and highlights of the games are shown. It's broadcasted all over Panem. I guess no one wants me to see Kato because they think that if we reunite in front of the entire country, the audience is going to love it. Andy and my prep team tell me they want to start working on my appearance for tonight, so I say bye to my mentors and Havani, then follow my prep team into an elevator. Congratulations. We're so happy you guys won. We gathered a bunch of sponsors for you too when you guys were in the arena, Fuchsia exclaims. I smile and thank her. Dono tells me that they have my dress ready, and assures me that the entire Panem will love it. I doubt that. The districts of the tributes I killed won't be happy at all. Senior holds my face and tilts it from side to side. She talks about how much shaping my eyebrows need, how much makeup should be applied, what color eyeshadow is needed, and so on. Andy smiles at me and compliments me on how I managed to keep my face clear of scratches. The elevator stops on the training center, so I was kept underground for recovery. I look around the training center, I see an archery target and my hand slides down to the secret pocket in my suit. I grip the blade and throw. Dead center. Andy, Fuchsia, and Dono smile while Senior scolds me and tells me that we need to get ready quickly. Is Kato preparing? I ask. Probably, Andy says. We reach the floor that Kato and I stayed in before the games. Andy tells me to take a shower while he and the rest of the team get the makeup kits, the dress, the pair of shoes, and accessories ready. I walk into the bathroom and take my clothes off. I step into the shower relieved to see all the different buttons again. I remember when Kato told me he had no idea how to use the shower. I laughed and told him that's probably why he smelled bad. I press a button and water pours down. I press the blue button and the water turns ice cold, exactly what I wanted. I couldn't shower when I was in the arena, so I want to enjoy this cold, relaxing shower. I press a red button and rose-scented shampoo falls on my head. When I finish up in the shower I climb out and find undergarments hanging on the wall. Andy must have put it there. I step onto the mat and press the green button, and hot wind shoots out of the vent and dries my hair in less than 5 minutes. I put on the undergarments and walk out to check on my prep team. Senior instructs me to sit on a chair so she can get started on my hair and makeup. I obey and sit patiently. She tells me to close my eyes while she applies some eyeshadow and then some lipstick. When she's done with my makeup she plucks my eyebrows to get them back into shape, which I don't enjoy at all. Dono combs my hair and designs it while Fuchsia paints my nails. Andy tells me that I'm not allowed to look in the mirror until I have my dress on. Can I at least see what color my nails are? I ask. Oh, alright, Andy says. I look down at my nails and see that it's a magnificent work of art. Fuchsia has made it beautiful. She applied black nail polish and takes a skinny brush and makes wonderful designs in blood red polish. On one nail there's a design of vines with leaves and on another there's a design of my knives. It's beautiful, I say. I'm happy you love it, Fuchsia says with a pearly white smile. Either eyes that they are painting my nails a color that will match my dress. Or they are painting my nails the same color as my dress. So either my dress is black or red, I don't mind because these colors are fine, as long as it isn't pink. My prep team starts having a conversation about the games. They mostly talked about who they told to sponsor Kato and I, or how they had to convince them. In between the discussion my mind flies to Kato. I hope he's okay. If they gave him the same injection that I got then he must have already woken up. All done, Senior says stepping back to look at my face. Oh my gosh, she looks fabulous. Dono says. Darling, you look stunning, says Andy. Thank you. Look what I got, Andy says holding a black leather bag. It's your dress. Fuchsia says clapping her hands. I guess she's more excited than me. Close your eyes, Andy says. I close my eyes and feel my prep team slip the dress on. Andy takes my hand and leads me to a mirror. Open your eyes, he says calmly. I open my eyes and gasp at the sight. Beautiful. I'm wearing a black, glittery dress with red roses that cover my waist. The dress isn't really puffy, but has the right kind of volume. It stops just below my knees. I see that Dono has tied half of my hair up and let the other half down. The tied portion is braided into the shape of a V and the other half that hangs over my back and shoulders are curled. Senior has done a wonderful job as well. She applied a layer of black eyeshadow, then over that she applied black glittery eyeshadow that sparkles in the light. For my lipstick she applied a light red color that looks smooth. It's beautiful, I say disbelievingly. Now, let me add the finishing touch, Andy holding a red rose in his hands. Andy pins the red rose above my ear and it looks marvelous. The red rose complements the line of roses that rest on my waist. Dono puts a necklace around my neck. In the locket, there's a flower. Clove. The flower I was named after. Senior make me wear a bracelet full of black roses while Fuchsia watches and cries. Andy tells me to twirl and when I do my prep team lets out a bunch of oohs and ahs. Dono approaches me with the pair of shoes that I'm told to wear. It's as beautiful as the dress. It's red with a black outline and black roses accurately painted on the corners. I put it on and feel grateful that it's only 2 inches. I look at myself in the mirror, everything's complete. I hear the elevator buzz and turn to see my mentors. They walk over to me quickly and fall in love with the dress. You guys did a good job, Brutus says to my prep team. Thank God, she still looks like the Badis, sadistic tribute in Oberia says. Imagine what Kato would do if he saw you, Lime says, and we all laugh. Andy rushes everyone out because we need to take our positions under the stage to get lifted up. We scurry out and make our way to our positions. Under the stage I see that I will be lifted onto stage by a pedestal. The same one me and 23 other tributes used to get lifted onto the arena. My prep team tells me that they have to go get ready, wish me good luck. Someone grabs and I turn around immediately. Calm down, it's only us, Lime says with Brutus and Inoberia by her side. Now, when you and Kato won, the audience went wild. So tonight, you and Kato are to be more romantic and mushy. Inoberia says. Even in the dim light, her golden fangs glisten. I nod and they wish me luck and get to their rooms to get ready. I hear Caesar walk onto the stage and the crowd goes wild. He introduces Kato and I as the 74th Hunger Games victor and says other stuff that I'm too nervous to listen to. Then I hear him introduce my prep team and the audience gets even wilder. I hear my mentors being introduced and they receive an even louder applause. When a tribute wins, their mentors are highly praised because they managed to keep their tribute alive, but in this case my mentors managed to keep 2 of their tributes alive, so they get double the praise. I feel my pedestal being lifted up and my heart pounding in my chest. When I'm on stage, blinding lights assault my eyes along with the screams, applause, and stomping from the audience. I look over to my left and see Kato. I run over to him and hug him. I don't feel like letting him go, because I feel safe in his arms. He pulls me in for a kiss and I don't hesitate to return it. You look beautiful, he says, looking into my eyes. Thank you, you look handsome. I always do, Kato says with a cocky smirk. I laugh and lean my head on his chest. A peacekeeper taps Kato on the shoulder, but Kato just pushes him down. This makes the audience go crazy. Caesar then asks us kindly to sit down. We walk over to the victor's chair. Since there are 2 winners, they pushed a velvet chair next to the victor's chair. When we sit, we wait for the audience's cheers to die down. When they do, Caesar starts asking questions. So Kato and Clove, when did you guys start developing feelings for each other? Back in District 2, the minute I laid eyes on her at the training center I knew that she was the one for me, Kato answers. The audience let out a ton of "oh," and I think some are crying too. Clove, how about you? Caesar asks me. I developed feelings much later than Kato. I didn't feel anything special until our trainers assigned us as training partners. Then after that, we started to learn more about each other. No one knows Kato more than I do and no one knows me more than Kato does. I say honestly. Then I kiss Kato on the lips and the entire room sighs. Adorable. Now what went through your head when you heard that you both won? I felt like the happiest girl in Panem. When I heard Claudius announce it, I was grateful that Kato and I could go home together. I say. Caesar asks more questions that Kato and I answer, followed by the audience's reaction. After Caesar's done with the questions, he plays the clip. It shows me and Kato on our pedestal waiting for the gong to ring with a determined look on our face. When the gong rings, the camera focuses on Kato and I killing tributes. I smirk when they showed the part where I threw a knife at Fire Girl and she blocked it with her pack. It shows Kato killing the girl from 4, then changes to us and the rest of the careers along with Loverboy piling our supplies into a pyramid. They show the Tracker Jacker scene when Kato grabs my hand and we ran for the lake while Glimmer was on the ground getting stung to death. In between the clip, Kato and I would glance at each other and smile. It's on the part when Kato snapped the District 3 boy's neck that the audience found funny and started laughing. Finally it goes to the huge cornucopia battle. It shows to the part where Kato and I kill Fire Girl together, then Claudius announcing our victory. The incident that happened on the hovercraft was shown to my surprise. Then the clip is over. Now, let me just say that it's been an honor to be with this year's victors Kato and Clove from District 2. Caesar exclaims. The crowd gets wild as we exit the stage. Kato and I are taken to the 2nd floor where we are told to change and sleep before we board the train to District 2. Excited to go home? Kato asks. Very. I can't wait to move into Victor's village and be friendly neighbors to Inoberia, Brutus, and Lime, I say. Kato laughs. He grins and takes my hand as we make our way to the 2nd floor. Once we reach our destination, I let go of Kato's hand to go change and rest. When I get to my room, I change into a silky nightgown and climb into bed. I hear the door swing open. I sit up to see who it is. Kato closes the door and climbs into bed with me. Can't sleep? I ask. Nope, but now I can, he says, wrapping his arms around me. We fall asleep, excited to go home. Time to wake up, snuggle bunnies. Today you guys are going back to District 2. Lenny's annoying voice wakes me from my peaceful slumber. My eyes flutter open and spot Lenny in a hot pink puffy blouse with sleeves that stop at her elbows. On her orange wig there's a neon green flower pinned on firmly. Kato's arms are still wrapped around me, so I nudge him with my elbow and his eyes fly open. Come on guys. Get up. Lenit says. I can tell she's getting impatient. Kato stretches and sits up. Good morning Lenit, he says sweetly. This makes me laugh because he enjoys annoying her. Good morning, now will you get up? Lenit says. I see you're still annoying. I'm glad you haven't changed, I say. Now it's Kato's turn to laugh. Lenit turns her heels and stomps out of the room angrily. I'm going to take a shower, I say, climbing out of bed. Okay, Kato says, not bothering to get up. I walk into the bathroom and strip off my clothes. I take a quick shower and climb out. I wrap a towel around my body and dry my hair. I walk out of the bedroom and find Kato asleep on the bed. I walk back into the bathroom and come out with my nightgown. I make my way to the foot of the bed and throw the nightgown at him. It hits him in the face, but it's still not enough to rouse him. I then decided that he should probably get his sleep. I mean, we're just going to District 2. I pick out a strapless purple dress with some ruffles at the bottom, and a pair of blue platform sandals that has a lot of fancy straps. I tie my hair into a high ponytail and walk out of the room to eat breakfast. I find Lenit on the couch applying hot pink eyeshadow and my mentors along with both Kato and I's prep team at the table eating. What time is it? I ask. It's already 10, we're going to board the train and leave for District 2 at 11:00. Lime answers while gorging down some fried potato. I love the outfit. Where's Kato? Says Andy. Thank you, and he's still asleep, I say as I walk over to the serving table and fill my plate with pancakes, cinnamon rolls, and fruits. Well, if he doesn't wake up and get ready before we head to the train station, then we're going to leave him behind, Lenit says, putting on some pink eyeliner. I'll wake him up later, I say, sitting down next to Fuchsia while stuffing my mouth with some fruit. I finish in 20 minutes and run into the room to wake Kato up. Wake up, I say loudly. I grab a pillow and hit his face. After several hits, his eyes finally open slowly. You look good, he says, trying to close his eyes again. No, just because you complimented my dress doesn't mean that you can sleep in. Come on, if I hear Lenit nag about leaving you behind, I might end up throwing a knife, I say. I see a smirk form on his face. I kiss him on the lips and run my hands through his hair. He returns the kiss and is about to link his arm around my waist when I pull back. Now go shower. Lime says that we're boarding the train to District 2 at 11 and it's already 10:28. I say. His lips twitch into a grin. You tricked me. Smart girl, he says, sitting up. If you want more, you have to get ready quickly, I say seductively. He leans in for a kiss and I do as well. When our lips are inches apart, I pull back and walk out of the room. I laugh when I see him open his eyes to find the empty space in front of him. He looks around the room and shows me one of those sad puppy faces. I laugh and make my way outside. I sit on the couch, clueless of what to do next. Where's Kato? Lenit asks. He's taking a shower, relax. Why don't you loosen up your corset and have a drink? You're starting to get on my nerves, I snap. Her mouth forms into the shape of an O, she glares at me and walks away. You bored, kiddo? Brutus asks while sitting down on the plush chair with a glass of wine in his hands. I nod and let out a sigh. Ask the Avox over there if she can get you a knife, he says quietly. I smirk. I walk over to an Avox standing next to the serving table. Can I please have a knife? She nods and walks away. Wait. Can you get me 3 knives please, I ask politely. She nods again and walks away quickly to get what I ask for. She doesn't take too long to return with 3 medium kitchen knives. She hands them over to me and nods head. I twirl one knife in my hands and look around the room, searching for a target. I spot a picture of some fruit in a bowl. Perfect. I fling my knife at the picture and it lands in the middle of the orange, just how I planned. I throw my second knife and it lands in the middle of a pear, the third one buries itself in the middle of the apple. All knives hit the center, just how I wanted it to. Just because you're a victor doesn't mean you have the right to damage capital property. I turn around and see Kato grinning at me while munching on an apple. I laugh and walk over to him. You promised me that I would get rewarded for getting ready fast, he says, wiggling his eyebrows. I laugh and smack his arm lightly. Save it for Victor's village, I say, giggling at his disappointed expression. It's time to get to the train station, Lenit says cheerfully. I link my fingers with Kato's and walk behind an excited Lenit. Behind me are my mentors and both of the prep teams. As soon as we exit the training center, a crowd full of capital citizens with cameras blind us with flash. What the hell? I say, shoving a photographer out of my way. Calm down. They are called paparazzi. Their job is to take pictures of people who are famous, especially Victor's. Don't be mean, you don't want them to say something bad about you. Be graceful, Inoberia says in my ear. I turn to the nearest camera and say, I'm sorry, I just got freaked out. No one says anything and they just continue taking pictures. Kato, Liam, Inoberia, Andy and I get into one car while the others get into another. Relief washes over me when I see Lenit climb into the other car. I think I'll be able to survive the car ride with her not next to me. We get to train station and spot more of these paparazzi people with their cameras taking pictures like maniacs. I just smirk and hold Kato's hand as I get into the train. When we get settled into the train, I think back when I stepped on this train for the first time. I got out of the train knowing that only one person can live, and that was going to be Kato. Now I'm sitting in this train, happy to get back to my district with Kato by my side. Since District 2 is near the capital, we arrive the next day. I wake Kato up and we get ready quickly. I see the windows go dark, we're pulling into the train station. Kato and I run out of the train once it stops and find the whole district clapping and cheering for us. Kato and I raise our hands to show them that we won as a team. They go nuts and don't stop cheering. I spot my family in the crowd waving next to Kato's family. I wave back and smile. I wave at everyone until I hear someone announce. The victors of the 74th Annual Hunger Games, our very own Kato and Clove. Everyone goes nuts until the announcer finally dismisses everyone. Kato and I walk with our families so we can get our stuff and bring them over to our house in Victor's village. Kato and I decided that we would live together in one house. Good job, Clover, we're really proud of you, my dad says, kissing my forehead. I see my mother nodding and wiping some tears away. I hug her tight and kiss her cheek. My 13-year-old brothers Brock and Fortis give me high fives and give me a hug. They also present me with a bouquet of clove flowers. My best friends Alani, Caroline, and Abigail run up to me and hug me so tight, they are cutting my oxygen off. Congratulations. You were awesome, Abigail says while jumping excitedly. I guess they love the idea of having a best friend that's a victor. We were cheering for you when you fought that girl from 12, Caroline says. I thank all three of them and hug them one last time when they say they really need to go. I look over at Kato and see that his whole family can't stop kissing his cheek and expressing how proud they are of him. After our families greet us, we arrive at Kato's house to get his stuff. Kato and I offered our families to live with us in Victor's village, but they all kindly declined. We get all of Kato's things and transfer them into our new house. Before we even move around, we look around to admire the beauty and open space. Too big for two people. Kato snaps me back to reality and we move some things upstairs into the master bedroom, which is really huge. After getting everything settled, we go over to my house to retrieve my things. I walk in and everything feels different. Being away from home for long and coming back as a victor makes the home that I've lived in for 15 years strange. Everything looks the same though. I go upstairs to my bedroom, which gratefully looks recognizable. I remember the nights Kato would sneak in through the window and we would lie down on my bed and talk about the games. My queen-size bed was neatly made, and all my belongings were still there. After looking around my abandoned bedroom, we take my belongings and bring them to our new house. I decided to do some exploring. So far, I found out that there are 5 big bedrooms, 4 fancy bathrooms, and a fridge filled with the most expensive, delicious food known to man. After settling down and arranging things, Kato and I lay in bed, arms wrapped around each other. Throughout Kato and I's journey, we've always been by each other's side. Even though the games threatened to break us apart, we did everything we could to not let it happen. We'd rather die together than have one of us live and feel as if the world's weight were on our shoulders. We left our home as vicious careers willing to do anything to win the games and bring honor and pride to our district. Little did we know that we would fall deeply in love and enter a death match together where only one person can come out alive. But we showed everyone that love always prevails. Epilogue. 11 years later, Kato and I got married and I gave birth to a beautiful baby girl named Rose. We agreed to give her that name because the color of a red rose represents the blood we spilled to come back home with each other. Rose is 11 years old, which means next year she'll attend her first reaping. Even though we live in a career district, and training is available, I don't want Rose to volunteer. I mean, it's awesome being a victor, but you have to go through a lot to earn that title. Kato and I decided that training Rose is a good idea, in case she gets reaped, and ever since she was 6 years old, we've been training her. Ever since we won the games, Kato chose to train the careers at the training center and I chose to design clothes. I already have Rose's reaping outfit planned and I'm going to start on it soon. Before Rose and Kato arrive, I cut apples and oranges into shapes of cubes, the way she likes them. I transfer them into a big plate when I hear the door open. "Hi Mom," Rose says, coming in with Kato right behind her. "Hi Rose, how was training?" I ask. "Fun, my knife throwing skills are perfect. I'm also really good with a sword too," she says, tossing her duffel bag on the couch. "Hello there," Kato says, wrapping his arms around my waist, kissing me on the lips. "Gross, I'm going to my room," Rose says, jogging upstairs. I giggle and ask Kato how her training went. "Same as what she told you. She's excellent with knife throwing and handles a sword with ease," he says. "So are you saying her knife throwing skills are better than mine?" I ask, teasing him. "Come on Clover, she is as good as you. But if it makes you feel any better, you always looked hot throwing your knives," he says, poking my waist. I laugh. "Are you hungry?" "No, I just want some tea. Can you boil some water for me?" he asks. "Fine, but tell me again, when are you going to cook something for me?" I ask, placing the tea kettle on the stove. He pats my head and laughs, disappearing as he walks up the stairs. I turn on the stove and the fire appears. Fire. Until this day, I haven't forgotten my enemy Fire Girl. The way she tried to play the whole star-crossed lovers from District 12. It may have convinced the capital citizens, but not me. Even Glimmer and Marvel knew it was just an act. I learned in the training center here in District 2, that tributes from the poor districts will do anything to get sponsors. Some use sympathy and others use charm, if they are attractive and have the ability to pull it off. I remember when we went on our victory tour and I was 1 week pregnant, all the districts that my victims were from didn't do anything. Their families cried, some cried so loud I think they did it on purpose to make me and Kato feel bad. Flashback. What am I wearing for District 12? I ask Senior. Since you had an intense battle with them, and they were your last kill, we all agreed that you and Kato need to wear something that makes you look aggressive and intimidating. Don't you think that's going to be a slap in the face to the people of District 12? That's exactly why, Senior says, smiling. A smirk forms on my face. My prep team wants to make me wear something that makes a statement saying I don't care if the children from this district, I'm proud. Part of me disagrees with the idea of carelessness. Fire Girl and Loverboy both have families that are probably going to be crying the whole time we're there. A voice in my head tells me to not worry, Kato and I had to kill them, they were in our way of going back home, seeing our family. My prep team makes me put on black leather pants and a red silky blouse, along with black leather boots. Dono applies some red lipstick that makes me look really intimidating and Fuchsia puts my hair in a high ponytail. They make Kato wear a maroon t-shirt and a leather jacket, with black pants. We got off the train with our mentors walking in front of us and our prep teams behind us. We wait in the Justice building for our cue to walk on stage. Now before we introduce the victors, let's take the time to appreciate the tributes from our very own district, Katniss Everdeen and Peter Mellock. They tried their very best to win, but unfortunately, they couldn't. But let's not dwell on that, let's be happy for the pair that did win, says the mayor. The citizens of District 12 stay silent, it's as if that's way of rebelling. Now please put your hands together for the victors of the 74th Annual Hunger Games, the tributes from District 2. Kato and Clove. To our surprise, they clap. Kato and I link our hands together and walk out of the Justice Building to step onto the stage. The mayor hands me the microphone. "Thank you, District 12. I say enthusiastically. They clap a little louder. I notice I should say a few good things about their tributes, so I do. Even though Kato and I killed Katniss and Peter, I just want to say that I thought they were such brave and courageous people. Of course I don't think this is true, but I try to sound kind for their families." I hand the microphone back to the mayor. A woman with pale skin, grey eyes and black hair hands me a bouquet of roses and smiles. I smile back and thank her. Kato and I are led off the stage to shake some hands. A little girl with blonde hair and blue eyes shakes my hand excitedly. When I pull my hand back, she runs off bragging that she shook the hands of a victor. I shake hands with another person, and when I pull my hand back, I hear something strange. I hear people crying. I look around and see a woman with her daughter hugging each other, sobbing uncontrollably. Fire Girl's mother and sister. My heart sinks to my stomach. Killing Fire Girl was easy, but watching her family grieve isn't. I hear people crying again and spot a man, woman, and 2 boys about the ages of 17 and 18 sobbing. Loverboy's family. When the woman catches me staring at her family, she glares at me. I look away and hold Kato's hand as we make our way back into the Justice Building. We're taken to the train station where we board the train, off to District 11. Thresh's District. End of flashback. I remember how much I dreaded being there. I wanted leave immediately and go back home, but there were many more districts to stop by. "Rose, come down and eat some fruit," I call. The water in the tea kettle is already hot, so I pour some water into a mug and put the tea bag inside. Rose comes down. She changed into a pair of shorts and a purple, silky shirt I made for her. She inherited my straight, black hair and got her blue eyes from Kato. I take the platter of fruits I had sliced earlier and placed it upon the kitchen table. Rose sits down and is about to grab a cube-shaped apple, but my quick hands slap hers. "Get a fork." "Fine," she says, rolling her eyes as she walks over to the drawer containing all of our silverware. Even though she's only 11 years old, I'm already seeing that defiant and independent side of her. I see Kato walking over, also changed into fresh clothes. He grabs the tea from the counter and sits down on the chair next to me. He takes tiny sips from it. Rose is eating now, hungry from a hard day of training. I prepare a meal that consists of green, string vegetables, mashed potatoes, roasted beef, and corn. We eat together talking about different topics. We talked about the games, and how Kato and I won. Rose knows about our victory. When we first started training her, we told her everything, and also about Fire Girl and Loverboy. After the games, a lot of things have changed. Kato and I not only have to take care of ourselves, but an 11-year-old child as well. Our 11-year-old child. There will be a few bumps along the road, but those bumps will help us learn how to avoid other ones in the future. Being a mother and a wife isn't the easiest job in the world, but it's the best job. The one person I see myself growing old with and being buried next to is Kato. We've been through so much, nothing can break us. He's my best friend, my brother, my sidekick, my partner, and especially the love of my life. What the future brings, I really don't know, but I'll be really happy to find out. The end.